Creating cinematic animated stories used to require an entire studio, full of cameras, editors, and sound designers. But everything you're seeing right now was created using just 2 AI tools. Check this out. Huh? Hi, my name is Mira, and I create AI animated stories for a living. In this video, I'll walk you through the exact workflow I used to create this animation. For this project, I used Higgsfield.ai, which gives you access to multiple AI models in one place. The main tools I used were Nano 2 and Higgsfield Cinema Studio. I'll show you the full process step by step, and if you want to try it yourself, I'll leave the link to Higgsfield in the description below. Now let's jump into the workflow. The first step is creating reference images for the characters. For this project, I needed a grandma and a cat. Head over to Higgsfield, click Create Image, and switch the model to Nano 2. I'm using Nano 2 because it generates images faster than Nano Banana Pro while still keeping high-resolution quality. Then I paste in the prompt that describes a realistic portrait of an angry elderly grandmother looking straight at the camera in a softly lit kitchen while wearing a floral housecoat. After that, set the resolution to 2K, the aspect ratio to 16:9, and click Generate. A few seconds later, the image is ready and it looks exactly how I imagined. The grandma has the features described in the prompt, and this works perfectly as the main character reference. To keep the character consistent throughout the video, I need multiple angles. So I paste another prompt describing a 45-degree left side profile of the grandma. Upload the first generated image as a reference, set the aspect ratio to 16:9, resolution to 4K, and click Generate. Now take a look at this. The AI keeps the same facial features as the original. I then repeat the same process to generate a right side profile too. Now I have 3 reference images: a front view, a left side profile, and a right side profile. These will help keep the character consistent across all the animated scenes. Next, I create the reference images for the second character, the tabby cat. I paste in this prompt describing a front-facing portrait of a tabby cat. Select Nano 2 and click Generate. And here's what we get: a clean front-facing shot of a tabby cat with great facial features. After that, I generate a left side profile and a right side profile using the same process. Now that all the character references are ready, I move into Higgsfield Cinema Studio. Cinema Studio is basically an AI filmmaking tool that generates cinematic video shots from a simple prompt without any expensive gear or a full production team. It automatically adds camera movement, cinematic lighting, and realistic motion to make every scene feel like a real film shot. It also lets you choose the camera movements and emotions, as well as the camera equipment the video is shot with, which is super useful. First, I generate the base image for the scene. I click Image, then press the plus icon and add the reference images of the grandma and the cat that we generated earlier. Then, I paste in the following prompt, describing a cozy kitchen scene where a grandma places fresh cookies on a rack while the cat watches from the floor. This is where Cinema Studio gets really powerful. You can control the camera type, lens, focal length, and aperture, just like a real camera setup. If you're not familiar with those settings, you can simply click Recommended, and Higgsfield will automatically choose a camera setting for you. For this shot, I select a classic 16mm camera, a premium modern prime lens, a 35mm focal length, and an f4 aperture, and then hit Generate. Take a look at this image. The grandma is checking her freshly baked cookies while the cat watches from the floor. The image looks great, but I wanted a slightly different angle. So I click Create 3D Scene, which lets me adjust the camera angle. After moving the camera slightly, I click Capture Angle, and now the scene appears exactly how I wanted it. There's also a grid generation feature that lets you generate multiple variations at once and pick the best one. Next, I generate another image for the next shot. This time, I select the cat reference image and paste a prompt describing a cat walking across a backyard while carrying a cookie in its mouth during golden hour. I leave the camera settings on Recommended and click Generate. And as you can see, the camera settings Higgsfield chose automatically gave the image a very cinematic look, exactly what I wanted. So I continue this process until all the images needed for the story are generated. Once the images are ready, it's time to move on to animation. To animate a scene, go to the video option and select single shot. Choose one of the images created earlier. Then I open the director panel, which lets you add character references, so the characters stay consistent throughout the video. I click Add Characters, upload the cat reference images created with Nano 2, and and name the character Cat. Now I can tag the character directly in the prompt, which helps the AI maintain character consistency. Next, I paste a prompt describing a cat walking across a grassy backyard carrying a cookie, set the camera movement to handheld, change the speed to impact, set the duration to 5 seconds, and the quality to 1080p. Then I tag the cat reference inside the prompt, select the action genre, and click Generate. And here is the result. The movement feels natural, and the character consistency is very accurate. Next, I move on to the multi-shot option. I select the reference image created earlier and paste a prompt where the grandma sees the cat sharing the stolen cookie with kittens and then gently petting them. Then I add the grandma's reference images in the director panel, name the character Grandma, and tag the character inside the prompt. Cinema Studio also lets you control the character's emotions. By clicking the emotion icon, I select Joy. Then set the camera movement to static, the duration to 10 seconds, the speed ramp to impact, and switch the genre to intimate since this scene focuses on warmth and affection. Then set the quality to 1080p and click Generate. And here is the result. The grandma reacts with warmth and gently pets the cat exactly as described in the prompt. Now, let's try out Multi-Shot Manual, which allows full control over each shot. In this mode, you can create multiple shots up to 12 seconds total, and each shot can have its own camera movement and timing. I upload the reference image, and for the first shot, I use a prompt describing the cat quietly stealing a cookie from the rack while the grandma is busy in the kitchen. I tag the cat, set the duration to 2 seconds, choose dolly in camera movement, set the speed ramp to impact, and select the action genre. For the second shot, the grandma notices the cat holding the stolen cookie and reacts with surprise and mild anger. I tag both characters and set the camera movement to static. For the third shot, the cat jumps off the counter and runs away with the cookie, while the grandma tries to stop it. Set the duration to 3 seconds. Choose camera follow for the movement and keep the speed ramp on impact. For the final shot, the prompt describes the cat escaping through the pet door, with the stolen cookie just before the grandma reaches the door. I tag both characters, set the camera movement to static, set the duration to 2 seconds, choose 1080p quality, and click Generate. The result turns out exactly how I expected. The characters stay consistent, the camera movements feel natural, and the scene flows smoothly. I repeat this process for the rest of the scenes. Once all the animations are generated, I import everything into CapCut. Then I arrange the clips in order, make small timing adjustments, and stitch the scenes together. After a little bit of editing, the AI animated film is ready.
Huh?
And that's the full workflow I used to create this AI animated story using Nano Banana 2 and Cinema Studio. If you want to try this workflow yourself, I've left the Higgsfield link and all the prompts I used in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.